Democratic Republic of Sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Green.
Philip Rivers is going to announce his retirement sometime today after 17 years in the NFL.
He had a great career. He hadn't missed a game in like 14 years or something like that.
Yep, since he got the starting job with the San Diego Chargers back in 2006, he has started every game. That's amazing. It's amazing to me how a guy can be, you just have these guys every once in a while that are like the Iron Men of their sport. Somehow they end up getting lucky that they never had a major injury to keep them out. And he's one of those guys that every time he was on the field, he may not have had the greatest of days at times, but he was one of the most solid performers in NFL history.
He definitely was. So, it's you're going to have several of these. You got Philip Rivers, you got Drew Brees. The dichotomy that they're both retiring at the same time is not lost on me. I think you're going to Ben Roethlisberger. You got Brady coming soon enough. The old guard in the NFL is being eschewed.
Could they all go out at the same time?
No,
Roethlisberger.
Brady still looks younger than all of them.
Right. Brady's going nowhere. But what I'm saying, Roethlisberger, Brees, and Rivers, that's your Hall of Fame ballot 5 years from now.
Yeah. If you retire this year, it's going to be a little hard for you to get in
on the first ballot.
Yeah, it'll be hard to get into that first.
Is there a question? Is there a question about Philip Rivers whether or not he is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Not to me.
There's no question that he is a Hall of Famer. Play the fun game that Jeremy likes to play of player comps. Would you like to give me guesses at the players that he is
Ken Stabler would
akin to?
That would be the first one that came to my mind.
Not listed on his career comparables.
That would have been my first one. Terry Bradshaw would be up there too. No. Who you got?
John Elway, Dan Marino.
Oh, stop that. Go away.
John Elway, Dan Marino, Fran Tarkenton, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and then you got Ben Roethlisberger, Ken Anderson.
Yeah, I can see that.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yeah, I could see Ken Anderson before I could see any of the rest of those. And the rest of those are insane.
And I think this one might make your head explode. Matt Ryan.
I actually don't hate that one.
Compared to the others? You would put Matt Ryan in that group with the others?
No, the others are stupid. The others make me never want to play that game again.
No, I don't think it's that far off.
Oh, I do. Philip Rivers is not in that class. He's not.
He's at the bottom of that class.
No, he's not.
Okay.
You literally listed off 5 of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived.
Uh-huh.
If you think Philip Rivers is anywhere near the top 10, you're drunk as hell. Like you have been drinking out of our new bar, which is right there. You'll see that later this week for the first time. Yeah, he's not in a class. I would say he's in that top 25, 35-ish. Mm-hmm. He's in that Bradshaw. Ken Anderson's a good one. But I hate to say this, Joe Namath category. He falls in right there. Dan Fouts is another good one. He falls right there. He's not in the Elway Marino class, and that's not even debatable.
I think he's right outside of that class. He's one of the, like I said, one of the most consistent performers in all of history, and he just, I don't know. I think he was a better quarterback than his teams were. They didn't put.
He had a lot of talent.
I mean, he had
one of the best tight ends that ever lived, and one of the best running backs that ever lived.
Of course he did, but I think he shares in a lot of that. Like he helped make Antonio Gates one of the greatest tight ends of all time.
I don't disagree with that.
LaDainian Tomlinson's the other one. LaDainian freed up a lot of stuff for him to be able to throw for a lot of yards. I get that. Don't get me wrong.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, but to put him with the other guys you said is
with the Elways and the Favres and the Joe Montanas.
That's nuck and futz to me, and that's on today. All right, that's on the day that we are currently talking about. You just said quite possibly the craziest thing I'll hear all day. Oh God, I just threatened it. Oh, I threatened the demon. Son of a bitch!
Don't ever do that.
Son of a bitch!
Don't ever do that. But I mean, he is a guy that is, he made 8 Pro Bowls in his career. He was phenomenal. And he was a guy that never caused any problems. You never had the scandal with Phillip Rivers. He was the clean cut, get out there, do your job, go home and play with my 17 kids guy. And I love that about him.
I will say, in retirement, Phillip, you need a hobby. Take up golf. I hear Frisbee golf is fun. Hacky sack. Anything that doesn't shut up. I don't like where you're going with this. As soon as I said the word sack, you started vehemently shaking your head. I'm not a fan of that.
No, I was thinking he's already got a hobby. He doesn't
he needs a new hobby.
He's been on the road away from the family. How much of the last 12 years of their lives, or however old his oldest kid is, I think this is his hobby now. This is where your wife looks at you after you're done and go, now you get to help and do what I do every day.
Oh no, he's going to coach high school football.
Yeah, football. Well, let me ask you a question. Phillip Rivers played 17 years.
Yep.
15 of them as a starter.
Yep.
How many Pro Bowls do you make? Don't look. Oh, you already
said that.
Oh.
So you don't listen.
No, I don't listen to you. I really vehemently try not to listen to you the vast majority of the time.
Nice.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, that's first ballot Hall of Fame kind of stuff right there.
Yep.
I don't think he's ever going to go down as, he was never the best quarterback in the league at any point in his career. He wasn't the best quarterback on his team for the first 2 years of his career.
True.
And he'll always be tied to Drew Brees for better or worse. Mm-hmm. But he didn't win a Super Bowl, which is obviously going to be something that's talked about. But now you want to talk about a conversation that is worth having?
Yeah.
Best quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl. Marino's one, and then you get into this real sweet little category that he's going to be right at the top of.
Yep.
That one I'll give you. He's one of the best quarterbacks ever to not win a Super Bowl.
I agree with that.
And it is, this is another open quarterback job. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the weirdest offseason for quarterbacks in NFL history. Do you notice how many moving pieces you have here?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, between you add in the Jets and the Dolphins, who might be involved with Deshaun Watson,
right?
And then you look at all of the other teams. There could be 14 quarterback switches in the NFL this year.
Holy cow!
That's insane. And now some of them are already on the same team. Looking at Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, Washington's going to do something at quarterback. Then you get to the Bears. Trubisky's a free agent. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of uncertainty. This is a really good team to be. There's a really good time to be a bad team. Like, as a Jets fan, I'm looking at half the league going, your shit's all screwed up. Now you're like us.
No.
I mean, the Colts, what are you going to start Jacoby Brissett?
No, he's done this year.
He's a free agent.
He's a
but you
free
can
agent.
Still bring
They're
him
not.
back.
Well, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Surely not with all of the things that will be available to them.
I wouldn't poo-poo that so quickly. You're not putting a rookie on this team.
No.
This is an old, good team. You're not going rookie. This is not a Darnold landing spot. This is not a Zach Wilson landing spot. This is, to me, this strikes me as
a Carson Wentz landing spot.
That's one of the names I was thinking. Jimmy Garoppolo was another.
Uh-huh.
This is where I think you see a vet guy.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think you see a stretch for a vet guy, though. I don't think we'll see them reach out and, make a play for, like, Mitch Trubisky. Because this is... Indianapolis, to me, is not a team that is going, and Frank Reich is not a guy that's going to make a panic move.
No. He doesn't have to.
No. They're going to figure out something, whether it be trying to trade with Philadelphia for Carson Wentz, which I don't think is going to happen. It baffles me. Like, every day I see, these, like, fantasy football groups, these dynasty groups, and guys are talking about, make a trade for Jalen Hurts. Good luck with that. Because... and they're talking about stupid shit, like giving up a first-round pick for Jalen Hurts.
Stop that.
This is a guy who does not have a job secured right now. You realize that, right? Like, the Philadelphia Eagles apparently just had a fight over Carson Wentz. They want to keep him as the quarterback of the future, or at least the ownership does. Don't make that move.
Well, and the question
don't jump on that Jalen Hurts bandwagon right now.
Well, and the question with Philadelphia is who ends up taking the job. If it's Josh McDaniels, you know who I can guarantee you the quarterback's not? Jalen Hurts. If there's real smoke to that fire, I promise you, the quarterback running Josh McDaniels' offense is not going to be Tim Tebow light. I think we've already done that.
Fire to the smoke.
Don't.
By the way.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said smoke to that fire.
Well.
Because there's a damn load of smoke right now. Philadelphia Eagles fans, they're... From what I saw yesterday on social media, they're about 50-50 of we don't want Josh McDaniels to. Yeah, let's try this.
Well, my question would be, what's your alternative?
Eric Bieniemy is the alternative. That's what they want. They have all convinced. The hype around Eric Bieniemy is so strong that Philadelphia Eagles fans think that's the guy to come in and change this whole thing.
We have to talk about we have to talk about this Eric Bieniemy thing.
Okay.
I can't. I've heard this for 3 consecutive days now.
Yep.
And I can't not say it. You can make this a thing that Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a job. You do realize nobody can hire him yet, right? It's not physically possible. You've talked about this for 3 straight days. Since Monday. Does the NFL have a minority hiring problem? You can't use him as the example because nobody could have hired him. Oh, that was cathartic. God, that felt good. I almost want to do it again.
And the argument on the other side always goes, well, you can wait. You can wait if you really think that he's a game changer.
Hey, here's the thing. Nobody does.
No.
And you know why? There's two very central reasons why people don't think Eric Bieniemy's a game changer. Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson. That's the 2 guys he replaced, who have gone on to much better jobs than we're talking about here and been largely mediocre. I understand Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, and that's still one of those things like Carol Baskins was on Dancing with the Stars. Like, it just doesn't sound like I say it and it doesn't sound right.
It was magic in a bottle for that 1 year. And then look at the other around it. I mean, you take into account, yes, there were injuries and all of that. How much onus do you want to put on Doug Peterson for, having mediocre seasons around the Super Bowl year? It's hard to win in this league. It's really hard to win in this league routinely. I mean, we were just talking about yesterday, Marty Hurney with the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be the GM now with the Washington football team. You realize this is a GM that has never had a back-to-back winning seasons. Never. In fact, it's never happened in Carolina Panthers history. They've had a winning year, and then they might go 8-8. But that's the closest they've ever come to back-to-back winning seasons. It's hard to win in this league. But have we seen everything we need to see from Doug Peterson? No. He ran into a situation where he ran afoul of ownership, and he lost his job.
He got a little too big for his britches.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
Right. I'm really tired of this narrative as well. Of
Well, I mean,
what do you want? Here's the thing. What do you want? Who's the guy? You tell me who's the guy.
I mean, because it was Marvin Lewis and Jim Caldwell were the ones getting interviewed.
Right.
And I got news for you. There's not a fan base in the world that would have been, yes, let's do that. Marvin Lewis, who literally was a coach he's the second longest tenured head coach of the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. The only guy ahead of him was Bill Belichick. That's it. There's not another one. And Jim Caldwell, who's had 2 jobs and been, meh. I mean, went to a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's players. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, cool. There's that. And maybe he should have gotten another year in Detroit, but that's the best you're going to get from me.
Yeah.
And then what? Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, guess what? Can't hire them either. Still playing. Leslie Frazier, can't hire him either. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you want to have this conversation 3 weeks from now, sure. More power to you. But right now, you've got 2 open jobs in the NFL, and you have one, in my opinion, good minority candidate that's been interviewed for all of them. Mm-hmm. Whether he's interviewing poorly or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Stephen Tao asked me if he was longer tenured than Jeff Fisher. Yes, he actually was. Not by much, but you got to remember Jeff Fisher got fired in the early 2010s and wound up in St. Louis.
Right.
I feel like the Jeff Fisher years became like an amorphous blob.
Yeah. Because
it was the Rams and the Titans, and we just put it together.
Because it was the same 8-8 team outside of the Super Bowl year. The one anomaly year.
Yep.
Why would you sign your franchise up for that?
Well, here's the thing. You look at every coach that's been hired. I want to go down this path.
Okay.
You tell me what coach. You look at Eric Bieniemy and some of the other coordinators. You tell me who he's more qualified than. Is he more qualified than Rob Salah? No. Is he more qualified than Arthur Smith? No. Arthur Smith made something out of nothing with Ryan Tannehill. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Eric Bieniemy his entire tenure has had Pat Mahomes as his quarterback.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, you're going to get dinged for that. Mm-hmm. You're also going to get dinged for the fact that you don't call plays. And we've had 2 guys exactly like this that we put in head coaching jobs, and they've both been largely busts.
Yep. Matt Nagy, we were just talking 4 weeks ago about should the Bears move on from Matt Nagy.
And this is a copycat league. This is what we do.
Right. Are they going to hire Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern? That was a discussion that we had on this program and the radio show a month and a half ago. They got hot at the end of the season, and but do you trust that moving forward? And then Doug Peterson just got fired. Why would you go after another Andy Reid acolyte who, doesn't have the cleanest of pasts, one, has been a head coach in college before. He was at Colorado. Wasn't he the head coach there? No, he was the OC there.
Eric Bieniemy?
Eric Bieniemy.
No, he's never had a head coaching job. He turned down the head coaching job in Colorado.
But
that's another part of this.
But he was on the staff at Colorado, is what I'm saying.
I want to say he was a GA. I think he's been in Kansas City for a long time.
I want to think that he was like the offensive coordinator there, and they weren't bad teams. I mean, they were bad teams. They weren't great teams.
He was the offensive coordinator in Colorado for a year.
Okay.
And he was offered that job.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted him to be the head coach. He said no.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be really honest with you, he doesn't need to be tied to this Houston Texans job. I don't really think he would want the Eagles job. I don't think anybody that has options is going to want the Eagles job. Mm-hmm. You're leveraged to high holy hell cap-wise, and you're stuck with Wentz and Hurts. This is going to be a problem until one of them is no longer there.
Yeah, I mean it's the Tim Tebow effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. It's going to be one of them comes out and doesn't play well, and the crowd is going to immediately be screaming for the other guy. Then he's going to come in. He probably doesn't play well. And then you're in this never-ending cycle of this guy's bad, we go back to that guy. This guy's bad, we go back to that guy. It's a horrible situation to be in.
Well, here's the thing about the coaching, the hiring practices and things like that. I can fix it in one sentence.
Okay.
Allow them to hire coaches whose teams are still playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Done. That I promise you. Troy Vincent and Goodell and all these guys have been trying to make, we got to do all these things to. No, you just have to let them be hired. Mm-hmm. Brandon Staley right now is the head coach of the LA Chargers because they could not get the guy they wanted. I don't think that. I know that. I've been told that by so many people that either they're all lying to me and it's a conspiracy to make me look like a dumbass, but they got Adam Schefter too. So, one way or the other, Eric Bieniemy would have been, fact or fiction, Eric Bieniemy would have been a head coach in the NFL right now if he had been able to be hired in the last 2 hiring cycles. Fact. Let him hire him, somebody will hire him. Then you can put the staff together, he can finish out his job in Kansas City, and you'll have everything in place. You at least know, then at least the scouts know the system they're going into.
Right.
They can have communication with this guy. You cannot ask a team. The first coach hired in this cycle was Urban Meyer. That was a week ago. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me you're going to give a month head start to the Jaguars, the Jets, the Lions were about a week later. Mm-hmm. Somebody else hired Falcons. All those teams get a month head start, and you want me to wait for 3 extra weeks to hire Eric Bieniemy. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. First of all, he's not clearly that much better of a candidate than the other guys that you can hire. Mm-hmm. I mean, you tell me right now you're definitively sure Eric Bieniemy's a better head coach than Josh McDaniels.
No.
Who has a playoff win. Oh, by the way.
Nope.
And that's the thing. A lot of these coaching hires are very close to each other. I can tell you definitively the Atlanta Falcons were real close on Arthur Smith and Joe Brady. It's 2 very different guys. Mm-hmm. And if the Titans had kept winning, guess what? Joe Brady would be the current head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He's not. He's not because a lot of the guys that people wanted to hire either didn't make the playoffs or they got beat.
Or were done early, yeah.
Brian Daboll, the reason he's not a head coach right now, and people want to talk about Bieniemy because he's a minority. I get it. I understand. I understand your problem. I hear you. The problem is that I have an example of a white coach that has the exact same problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, he went to high school with the guy making the decision. I think they're a little comfortable with each other.
Right.
Right.
But that's what they say is part of the problem, is all of the nepotism, and you got to know a guy to get a job and all of that. And
I got news for you. Eric Bieniemy has been in this league for so long. Mm-hmm. I promise you, he knows all of these people.
Of course he does.
That's not the problem.
Of course he does.
You want to say nepotism's the problem? You're out of your dadgum mind. Mm-hmm. I went Bobby Bowden there. That's rare. I don't do that very often.
It's just funny because you put the list together of minority head coaching candidates, and it doesn't really send you. There's a giant but with every one of the candidates on the list.
It was the same way with every candidate outside of Rob Salah.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Salah, to me, was the only one that didn't have a huge but. You know why? Because he came with Mike LaFleur. Mm-hmm. That was what was so attractive about him, is that he had he's a defensive guy, and he came with a young hotshot coordinator that probably ends up being a coach in this league someday. That's the only reason that there wasn't a but. Look at some of the coordinator hires, by the way. And I've upon thinking about this, you know why Dan Campbell got the Lions job?
Why?
I have a theory on this.
Okay.
Did you see who they hired as a defensive coordinator?
Aaron Glenn.
That's why. Look at the staff he's going to put around him. I don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be. I'll bet you it's somebody out of New Orleans. And I could see it being, I've heard Pete Carmichael. I think you're stretching there. I don't think he leaves New Orleans to take this job, even though technically he could because it is a promotion. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to happen. But I could see it being somebody off the New Orleans staff. And then you put this fantastic staff together. Aaron Glenn's going to be a head coach in this league. Mm-hmm. He is. And he interviewed for the Jets job. And I would have been okay with him getting it, depending on who he hired around him.
Right.
Because he's never been head coach. Mm-hmm. But you give him a few years in Detroit, this is going to be a guy that hits the circuit and one day and winds up with a job. I promise you, because that defense is going to get exponentially better.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is?
What I'm saying is the candidates in this cycle, there were a lot of jobs and not a lot of candidates. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, honestly, tell me who you felt great about outside of Eric Bieniemy, Rob Salah, Arthur Smith. Who'd you feel tremendous about? Brandon Stanley is the same age I am. Did you feel great about that? You feel great about Urban Meyer?
No.
Urban Meyer got money. astronomical money to come out of quote-unquote retirement because he was one of the safest coaching hires to coach in a league he's never coached in because we know he's a good coach. And this was a hard year to hire a coach. A lot of the safest picks are still playing. Leslie Frazier would be a safe pick as a head coach, and I think he will be a head coach in this league again. He already has been once, and I think he will be again. But you can't hire him. And so you make this whole deal, and this has been talked about for 3 days. I don't know what you want. I don't exactly know what you want me to do. And maybe I'm using the old coach speak and the old parent adage, but I understand you're telling me your problem, but you're going to have to give me this. You're going to have to give me some form of a solution. If your solution is Marvin Lewis and Jim Caldwell, sorry, it's not going to work. You have to excite a fan base with the coaching hire.
Yeah.
You know, the Lions, they're doing that with the staff, not so much with the coaching hire. Dan Campbell's the CEO. But you look at Arthur Smith in Atlanta, that's completely different than Dan Quinn. He's a young guy. He's an analytics guy. He's not an old school football coach like Dan Quinn was. It's exactly why he did it. Rob Salah is the most likable guy on planet Earth. The Jets just fired the most unlikable guy on planet Earth. This is not that hard to figure out. And so you can make a deal about this all you want to. And I'm not saying there's not a problem. I just think you've done everything about it you can, short of the one solution I've given you, which is release these guys to be hired.
Yeah.
You finish out your job, you can hire them, they can put their staff in place, and those guys can be working with the scouts to get everything right.
I love this idea because it's at least something tangible that we can do. You can go on and you can bitch and moan and whine about, you know, there's a problem, there's prejudice, all of this. Okay, I mean we're with you. We see it as well. We understand that is an issue, but how can you fix the problem? And this is a way to see if it actually works. To see if this is actually the hurdle that is standing in the way. And I've never heard anybody talk about it. I've never heard anybody say, this is a rule, this is an impediment, we need to change it. Have you? You heard anyone at a higher level say, we need to change this rule?
This part of the rule?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. And I'll tell you why, because teams don't want that to happen. Teams don't want to be competing for Super Bowls dealing with their offensive coordinator, split between other places.
Right.
We do it in college all the time. And
coaches,
guess what? If you're competing for a title, I promise you have that guy's undivided attention. But you want to fix this problem. And Adam Black said on our YouTube channel, find us on YouTube at The Sportsocracy, you want the equal opportunity, but the pipeline's not that strong. It's getting much stronger. Within the next 3 years, you're going to have Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, Aaron Glenn, Leslie Frazier, Eric Bieniemy will still be out there. The pipeline's going to be strong. If we're still having this conversation 3 years from now, okay. And I'm not saying there's not a problem. I don't want what I'm saying to be misconstrued as I'm putting my fingers in my ear saying I don't see that there is, obviously a discrepancy here. What I'm saying is the analogy that you're using here sucks. You're complaining that a coach that can't be hired has not been hired. That kind of invalidates your argument.
Yep. David Smith said in the comments on the Facebook feed that there are, there are no candidates out there that really demand a job right now. And he's right.
I don't care if it's a minority candidate or a non-minority candidate. There's not a guy out there that I look at and go, he didn't get a job and I'm going to lose my shit over it.
There's one, and it's Eric Bieniemy.
But I'm not going to lose my shit over him and not get a job. Because I can invalidate his candidacy like that. He's never called a play in his life. Done. I'll be honest with you, I don't give a fuck who you are. If you've never called a play in the NFL, I'm out. Urban Meyer, Eric Bieniemy, Aaron Glenn, I would be out on every one of these guys because you haven't called a play. That's a problem. That is a problem in this league, the way this league currently sits. If you have only been a coach for 2 years, hell, I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the Brandon Staley hire. I think we're doing this thing where it looks like Sean McVay, it walks like Sean McVay, and one time it talked to Sean McVay. So they must be the same person.
Right.
The Cincinnati Bengals will tell you that is a very flawed logic.
Right.
So I don't love that hire. To be honest with you, I liked Daboll there. I liked Eric Bieniemy there. But they're not going to wait.
Right.
They're not. It makes no sense a team that's picking in the top 10, you're going to ask their scouting department to wait a month longer than everybody else to hire the coach. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody that is far and away better, okay. When it's very equal like it is right now, they're not going to do that.
Right.
So you want to fix the problem, fix that problem, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, because here's the candidates. As put together by Mike Florio. If you know anything about Mike Florio's politics, you know he's going to put together the biggest, baddest list he can of minority head coaching candidates. Here you go. It starts with Eric Bieniemy. I'll give you that one. Then he goes Todd Bowles,
who was the worst head coach in the NFL for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Then he goes Jim Caldwell, who Colts and the Lions, we remember this. I mean, they weren't horrible.
Every team he's ever coached,
they were mediocre.
That's non-debatable.
Yeah. Then he goes Clemson offensive coordinator Tony Elliott,
who's an offensive coordinator in college.
Was he even?
And by the way, he's been offered to interview for 2 NFL coaching offensive coordinator jobs. Turned them both down.
There you go.
He didn't even want a coordinator job. Mm-hmm. Now, am I saying he wouldn't have interviewed for a head coaching job? Sure. But why in the world would you hire a college offensive coordinator to coach a team?
Mm-hmm. James
we
Franklin.
did that one time, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember who that was?
No.
The last time we hired a college offensive coordinator to be an NFL head coach.
Lane Kiffin.
There's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, Lance Kiffin himself.
Lance Kiffin. Penn State head coach James Franklin. Was he taking phone calls? I don't remember.
I don't think anybody was calling.
I don't think so. After the year he had at Penn State, that's not a guy I'm going, yep, let's bring him up to the big leagues. Then you got Leslie Frazier. Seen it, done it. I'm okay not doing it again. Pep Hamilton. This guy wasn't even great as an XFL coach.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Byron Leftwich. Too young, unproven, not it. Not this year. 2 or 3 years from now, maybe he'll be ready for a head coaching job. But has anything he's done with the Tampa Bay offense this year went, yeah, that guy, he's got to be the head of a franchise? No. Marvin Lewis. Oh, Marvin Lewis. 14 years or whatever it was in Cincinnati and never won a playoff game. Had great regular seasons. Remember all of those teams? You had such high hopes of them going into the playoffs with those receivers and Carson Palmer. And what happened? Went to the playoffs, never won. Mel Tucker. Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker, who wasn't great at Colorado as a head coach.
Hasn't been great at Michigan State.
Yeah, this year was a friggin' disaster at Michigan State. Look, he's a Georgia guy. He's defensive coordinator for Georgia for a few years. Love the guy to death. But he hasn't proven anything to be able to move up to an NFL head coaching position. And I'm going to throw one on the list that he didn't even mention, that I thought definitely would be mentioned, is Raheem Morris. We saw that in Tampa as well. Mm-hmm. And it didn't go well.
And guess what? And here's the thing. We were talking about that pipeline. Raheem Morris is now in it. He just took the Rams defensive coordinator job.
Yep.
If we've learned anything about being attached to Sean McVay, that tends to lead to coaching jobs so long as you're decent at your job.
Right. It's like being a coordinator for Nick Saban.
In college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, somebody said on our YouTube channel, this is a slightly different take. I didn't even know you couldn't be hired until your team was out of the playoffs. That's the problem we have with this. Is that it's a we get inundated by mainstream media with, oh, this is what's happening. Well, you're being disingenuous. You're not giving people the facts. Mm-hmm. I agree with you that there's a problem. I agree with you that you have to do something to fix it. However, nobody wants to talk about what it is you have to do to fix it. You currently have a very good minority candidate that could get a job. Are there flaws? Yes. There's flaws on damn near every guy that's been hired in this cycle. Mm-hmm. Problem is, no team can hire him. And nobody wants to say that. You want to bitch that he doesn't have a job, then you don't want to talk about why. Mm-hmm. The reason why, and I want you to think about what I'm going to say. There's a Ravens fan in the comments that will literally attest to what I'm going to say. Did you see what the Ravens did yesterday? They've been out of the playoffs for an hour. Did you see what they did yesterday?
No.
They cut Mark Ingram, they cut RG3, and they cut 4 other guys that were on their 53-man roster. Mm-hmm. That was an hour after they were out of the playoffs. You're asking these teams that are having to, let's say you're waiting on Eric Bieniemy. Between the 3 rounds of the playoffs, the Pro Bowl week and the Super Bowl, you're asking them to make those decisions without a head coach for 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
We live in an impatient world.
Uh-huh.
And the schedule of the NFL is unrelenting. It is unforgiving. If you're trying to build a franchise, you can't afford to get behind. It's plain and simple. You want to have the best chance to win, you need to know where you're going immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to sit in purgatory for a month on a rebuild hoping that this guy's team loses in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. Because we're expecting Eric Bieniemy won't be able to be hired for another 3 weeks.
If they win, he can't be hired for 3 more weeks.
Right.
From now.
It's got to be the second after the Super Bowl ends.
And here's the other part of that nobody's going to talk about. You know what that does? It really screws with your ability to put together a staff.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that all these coaches are putting their staffs together right now?
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking a coach to come in 3 weeks later than all these other guys and then try to piece together a staff.
Yep.
That is not going to work because the high commodity guys, the guys that have options and are really in demand, will have already picked their next destination. Mm-hmm. Raheem Morris was a coveted coordinator.
Yep.
Already got a job. He's already got a job, and 2 teams don't even have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the Texans may not have a coach for another 3 weeks. Oh, let's play a fun game. Who has a coach first, the Tennessee Volunteers or the Houston Texans?
Ooh.
Well, is Hugh Freeze on the phone yet for Tennessee?
Hugh Freeze
No.
will not be the next head coach of Tennessee. I said this yesterday on the ESPN show.
Tennessee can't do it.
And I don't know if it's Hugh Freeze. I don't know if it's Tennessee. I have been specifically told Hugh Freeze will not be the next head coach of Tennessee.
I think it's both ways. Because one, as a coach who's already been under the radar or on the radar of the NCAA, you don't take another job where you're immediately under the radar of the NCAA.
Yeah.
If you got in trouble for recruiting violations, you're not going to go take over a program that had recruiting violations and just fired their coach because they were handed over bags of cash.
Fast food bags of cash.
Oh yeah, and McDonald's bags, nonetheless. Jeez, did it work with you? It was you that was telling me yesterday there was some recruit took a picture of himself with a McDonald's bag in his
And he's
car.
like a 2-star recruit. I don't know who
Right.
this kid is, but Florida State offered him immediately.
And he said, "I'm glad to get an offer from Tennessee."
And he had a fucking McDonald's bag in his lap.
Right.
I don't know who you are, and you may not be able to outrun me, but you got a sense of humor, and I appreciate that.
Right. Stephen Tao says the Ravens cut Trent Dilfer the day after the Super Bowl. They don't wait around.
No, and that's the thing. You can't. That's the league calendar. The NFL has done an unbelievable job of consuming the whole year into the NFL. Really think about it. What is the offseason of the NFL?
What is it?
In between.
We-
The
mean how long?
offseason, though, where we're not talking about the NFL. When is the calendar open enough for every other sport to be in our A segment?
Maybe a week after the draft, maybe.
June, July.
You're drunk. June and July, we're talking about NFL. I can go back and pull the tapes. We did this last year. We talked about the NFL damn near nonstop in June and July. Leading into the preseason, are they going to play? All those other things. I understand that's not going to be an issue this year.
So April to May.
It's not April to May. That's the draft.
I'm
The
saying
draft is-
after the draft. After
No.
the draft, before like OTA.
After the
stuff.
draft, we're talking about, look at all these teams put together. What are they going to be? Literally, the only time of year we don't talk NFL is about a week after the Super Bowl to the start of free agency. Would you care to take a guess how long that is?
2 weeks.
A month.
A month.
It's 1 month. This year, it's a month to the day. That's what every other sport gets.
Yeah.
Because we talk about the draft. Literally on this show, we will talk about the draft damn near nonstop from the middle of March till it actually happens at the end of April. Now, that might be because that's what I do. By the way, my mock draft will be coming out in the next few days. If you noticed at the beginning of this show, we're having a little demonic problem in the studio.
Right.
We don't quite know where the demon is. We call Ghostbusters, and we hope to eradicate it sometime today.
Stephen's house is March 2nd through March 3rd.
Yeah, that's about it. The NFL has taken over the whole calendar.
The NCAA tournament. During the NCAA tournament, we give.
Which, by the way, it is now official for the NCAA tournament this year. I will be in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Yes.
And we all hate you for it.
Yes.
They're screwing up the schedule for the tournament this year, by the way. If you had not heard that news, they're doing the first 4 games on the Thursday, which is supposed to be the greatest day of the year.
Yeah.
When the second round begins.
Yeah.
Now they're doing all of the first 4 games on Thursday. Then the second round will start on Friday, Saturday, and then you got Sunday, Monday for the third round to determine the Sweet 16. And then you're going to have, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
What?
For the next round, for the next group of games. They did keep the national championship though on the Saturday, Monday, so at least that stays.
Yeah, you know what they did? They added an extra day to my Vegas trip that was already planned, which means now it's gone from a nice round 4-day trip that I probably wouldn't die. Now it's a 5.5-day trip where I almost certainly will at some point be legally dead
and be poor.
Yeah, I may have to do things I'm not proud of to get back. So don't ask.
Are you just going to hang
in
Are you just going to hang in the sports book, or do you like other gambling as well? Do you play cards and all of that?
I don't really play table games. My wife loves to play blackjack, and she's unbelievably good at it.
Right.
Like, I swear to you, if I was a pit boss and I saw my wife walk in, and we were on a cruise where I swear to you, she played blackjack for 6 straight hours, and I don't think she lost more than 10 times.
That's crazy.
I looked at her stack of chips like, hey, you won what I've already lost. Yes.
Good for you.
Broke even.
So are you a slot guy?
I do like slots a lot. I like video poker.
That's what I heard about you.
I'm a big
I heard you were all about the slots.
I should have seen that. I should have seen what you were doing there. I didn't. I will do better in the future.
All right.
Kevin Fiction said, should we check the roof of your hotel on the last day? Frankly, you should check on me every about 6 hours.
Yeah.
I fully intend to go, still alive?
Tank already has my replacement planned, just on the assumption that I'm not coming back.
That's right. You may get lost in Vegas.
Yeah, well, your first choice moved, so sorry about your luck.
My first choice, yeah.
Your first choice to replace me moved.
Which, by the way, I want to address this just for everyone so we're all aware. If you're friends, maybe even, partial business partners with somebody in your life, how about tell them you move? If you up and move, out of the county, out of the region of your state, tell somebody. Tell your friends.
I'll give you a little background on where this is coming from. 1 week from tomorrow, I am going on vacation for 5 days because the state of North Carolina has driven me to almost the point of pulling my hair out, and it's almost long enough now for me to do that.
Yep.
So I need a little break. So I'm going to go where there's ocean and beach during the week that nothing's happening in the virtual Pro Bowl. So I will not be here for a few days. Tank has been looking for someone to fill in for me. So far, that has been a fruitless adventure. Because all of it, he has been the Houston Texans of searches. Because every person he calls goes, no.
That's not true.
You trading Deshaun Watson? I'm Deshaun Watson.
I called 2 people. I've got one that is a definite for one of the days you're going to be gone. The other I called and said, hey, I'd love to have you back in the studio with us. And he went, I moved to Cary at the beginning of the year. And my immediate thought was, we have talked at least every other Saturday during football season.
I have
text messages, and never did you mention that you moved.
What day do you have hammered out? Because I'm going to be gone Friday and Saturday.
Thursday.
Thursday's the day.
Thursday's the day.
We could make a thing of this.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people that watch this show, and there's probably a lot of people that would thoroughly enjoy to come on here and talk shit and tell you how stupid you are.
Right.
You damn Biden voters. We could make a thing out of this. If there's interest in this, message me privately. I could make a thing out of this.
Okay.
As a guest appearance for me, if there are people that would be interested, if there's interest, I will do something with it. I just have to know at some point today. If you would be interested to fill in for me for that Thursday, because that's going to be
No, for Friday. I've got Thursday.
You've got Thursday covered, so it'll be Friday.
Right.
You see why I need a vacation?
Yeah.
I promise you, somebody watching this is going, oh, wait. He asked, what day do you not have covered? And you answered with the day that you do have covered. This is why I need a vacation.
Yeah, maybe. because I thought you were asking the other. What day do you have covered? I thought that's what you said.
Yes.
Yes. AJ Brown went on Instagram Live yesterday, post-op.
And he was higher than giraffe balls.
He
Just
was,
talking.
He was high as senator socks, just sitting there in his bed going, you know, they told me I shouldn't have played all year long, but I did. And I made the Pro Bowl, and I'll be back. He apparently had two, what someone later clarified on his Twitter, were small procedures to both of his knees. So I don't know if he was just getting scoped or what. But they had to apologize on his Twitter feed about an hour after that video started going viral of A.J. Brown high in his hospital bed. They say, sorry about A.J. coming on Instagram Live. He's fine. He's going to be fine. And he's not in his right mind. That's what it was. He was not in his right mind.
Yeah.
We knew.
Duh.
We knew immediately. I've had more coherent conversations with people outside of methadone clinics. That was just... No one needed an explanation for what kind of shape A.J. Brown was in. But it is kind of interesting that... And I heard somebody talking about he was going to practice in wheelchairs. Did you hear this?
Yeah.
They were wheeling him out to the field so he could practice.
Yeah, I have to give him, you know, and I talked, by the way, I talked about this with Jalen Waddle, a guy that's willing to play through pain. Yeah, trust me, that means a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, and Stephen Tao said the NFL doesn't care about player safety. I'm not going to, I swear to you, I'm not going to lie. I don't think anybody knew how bad it was. I really don't. Somebody in the Titans organization might have known. I don't think they knew. He's so valuable that I don't think they would have put him out there if they had known how bad it was. Mm-hmm. But, you know, good on you that you fought through it and things like that. We do have to talk about one thing before we get out of here.
Okay.
Colin Cowherd is a complete crazy person.
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said yesterday?
No.
His exact quote was, the NFL needs to figure out what day Pat Mahomes is going to be good to play, and that's the day they should play the AFC title. Stop it.
What?
Stop that.
I love him.
I love
part of the
Colin
reason
Cowherd.
I love Colin, because he just says shit that you know he can't believe. I mean, am I wrong? Do all of his listeners believe that everything comes out of his mouth is absolutely true? I mean, he's like, to me, he's the Rush Limbaugh of talk.
No, Clay
talk
Travis
radio.
is the Rush Limbaugh.
No. You're talking about politics. What I'm talking about is the show. Because I'll be honest with you. I met Rush Limbaugh one time. And he was a really, really nice guy. And he told me that it's all part of the show. Now, I'm not saying everything he's ever said has been part of the show. It's just, when you get there, you lean into that. You lean into it because that's what the audience wants. And that's exactly what Colin Cowherd has done. His entire career, he's figured out, I will get on every headline of every Twitter feed possible if I just say the most outlandish shit I can think of.
So what you're saying is that there's somebody that does a show that says things that maybe they don't believe.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hi. Hi,
No,
friends.
I mean you have to. You create the friction. If there's not friction there, you create some. And you come out and you say the most outlandish shit you can think of. And that is probably the stupidest thing I've heard in 2021.
By the way, I do believe the outlandish shit I say. I actually do. I've never said anything disingenuous on this show that I didn't really believe. Mm-hmm. However, the thought that we should push the schedule so that a quarterback can play is ignorant. Because that's a slippery slope you never recover from.
No. It's the dumbest idea on the planet. And here's the thing. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to figure this out. Patrick Mahomes apparently did, clear some hurdles according to ESPN sources and Adam Schefter. But he's still got more hurdles to clear. I don't care. I mean, I know player safety is a big, we got to make sure these guys are safe. Okay. We're also trying to win championships here. wouldn't be surprised if somebody had the conversation with Pat, like, you gonna be good? We need to really focus on everything we need to do to get you right for this game. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do anything.
Pat Mahomes is going to play.
I'm not saying that they're going to send him out there, cross-eyed and dizzy. There's no reason that you should ever do that. Of course he will. Of course he will.
But Patrick Holt did say something that I feel like we need to talk about.
Okay.
Donald Trump did not pardon Joe Exotic, and we're running out of time. There's but an hour and 45 minutes left for Joe Exotic to be pardoned.
Mm-hmm. Don't let us down.
I saw Tiger.
I want to see it happen. Just because I can't wait until all of the TV shows and everything start. Because the first thing that's going to happen when that guy gets out of jail is they are going to jump on him like a tiger. They're going to pounce on that opportunity. They're going to sign him to book deals and TV shows.
I just had a thought.
They are going to give him a megaphone that he's never had before, and it's going to be glorious.
I just had a thought. Joe Exotic could fill in for me while I'm on vacation.
I don't know that would... I mean, that'd be a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong.
I'll make the call. Yeah,
you already went down the Carol Baskin tree. They told you to fuck down a road, so...
I might have told Tank I had never communicated this to him before, but I communicated this to him on our ESPN show yesterday. I actually tried to get Carol Baskin on our ESPN radio show.
Right.
And I got a lot further than you would think I did. And then apparently they watched one of the shows and realized that I sang his songs on the air and shit like that. Yep. They thought it was a setup.
Mm-hmm. Which it totally was. It totally would have been a setup. That's why they pay these people. These people figure these things out and they go, no, we're not letting you go into
this could end bad. And it probably would have.
Yeah, we're not letting you walk into that tiger cage.
Yeah, because my first question would have been, so you killed your husband. You care to talk about that?
And all you heard was click.
And hung up. It's okay. You were here. I advertised it. There has been enough interest in fill in for Jeremy for a day. I've literally gotten 11 messages since I said it.
Nice.
Across all the platforms that we're on. I am going to come up with some fun way to fill my chair.
To auction off the chair.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm going to. It's not going to auction off because it's not going to cost you money.
Well, you know what I mean.
But I'm going to come up with some kind of cool contest of who's going to fill in for me. Mm-hmm. There's enough people that have said that they could physically be in the chair I'm sitting in. I've had a couple that said that they want to do it virtually. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I'm not going to lie to you. That's above my pay grade. I don't know how to do that. I've tried. I know how I could get you on the screen. I know how you could be heard. I don't know how he could hear you.
Right.
And I don't know how he could respond to you.
Right. We're not at that level yet. We don't have the...
we have the technology. We just don't have somebody that knows how to use it.
Right. We don't have the infrastructure set up for that. But, yeah, I mean, hey, we got 2 days to fill. We'll do Thursday and Friday on the Sportsocracy. Yep.
Like it. I'm going to come up with some kind of fun... I don't know what it's going to be. If you have an idea for the contest, message me on Twitter at JGreenESPN. I think this will be a load of fun.
Oh, yeah. We could even do like a round table. We could bring 2 or 3 in at one time.
This is getting better.
We'll do a whole hour, and it'll just be me and y'all. I like this idea. The more and more we spitball it live on the air, which I've said time and time again we shouldn't do, I like it. But
I spitball everything live on the air because I come up with brilliant marketing ideas sometimes live, and I don't want to forget them. Right.
Think better on your feet. That's the idea.
Kevin Vick said Rochambeau contest all the way in. I will bring the camera. The only thing is that you have to beat him in a Rochambeau contest.
No.
I'm all the way in. I'll officiate.
Nope. I get to be Caesar in this one. I get to go.
Oh, Stephen Tao had a brilliant idea.
Oh, what'd he do?
A Jeopardy-style trivia contest.
Yep, all in.
What if you had to beat me? That could take a while.
I don't know. Well, I mean, we might have a couple out there that could beat you.
That could take a while.
Nice.
That could be fun.
It could be fun.
I have so many ideas and we have so much room for activities.
All right, before we sign off for today's episode, I do have to I do have to say we lost a great one yesterday in the baseball world. Don Sutton, the longtime Atlanta Braves broadcaster who I worked with for the better part of a year, passed away yesterday at the age of 75. He thankfully died in his sleep. I'm glad to know that it wasn't a long-term thing. There was, according to his family, not a lot of suffering. It was a peaceful way to go. And it was a guy, not too many people on this earth deserve that more than Don Sutton. My time with him, with the Atlanta Braves radio network, our interactions were very limited. I was mostly just in contact with the main hosts and the play-by-play guys. And the color guys always had their, they had their place. They didn't really talk a whole lot when it came to the technical things. But he is a guy that I met several times, and he was a fantastic broadcaster. I love the insight that he gave into all of his Braves broadcasts. And not to mention, he was one of the greatest to ever take the mound in Major League Baseball. Had 324 wins in his career. He had the 7th most strikeouts of all time. He played for the Dodgers for, I think, like 16 years or something. He had a phenomenal career, and he's a guy that never missed his turn in the rotation. Never. That's something. We're talking about Phillip Rivers earlier, not missing a start since 2006. I would say it's just as hard, if not harder, to go over a 24-year Major League Baseball career and be able not to miss your spot in the rotation.
Right, for real.
That is insanity. But Don Sutton, God bless you. We love you, brother, and we'll see you on the other side. 75 years old. It was a hell of a life for Don Sutton, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of his family and his sweet wife, Mary. All right. Follow the Sportsocracy on all the social medias at the Sportsocracy. We are live from the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink Different will be with you on the afternoon show, ESPN Asheville, on the iHeartRadio app, everywhere you go. Take us with you. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Green, 3 to 5 this afternoon. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Green.
Yeah.
We'll see you this afternoon.